continuing and concluding chapter 17, and with it concluding the second part of Tanya. We are speaking about that the mind has dominion over the heart, and the ultimate way is that when you know something, it should give you a proper feeling in your heart. So when you know how bad smoking is, or how bad some kind of an addiction is, you hate that. You don't want that. You hate it. Because you know what it's going to do. So the godly soul, when it understands and knows the greatness of God, the relationship with God, it will give a feeling in the heart. That's the ultimate. But as we learned, that we're not all capable of having that feeling in the heart. So what we can have is it's called an intellectual love. Knowing that we should pine for God, but we're not. But you understand because you think about God. You meditate upon His greatness, about your relationship with Him. And that gives you a knowing heart. Not a palpable feeling in the heart of love and awe, but a knowing heart. And the Alter Rebbe says that's wonderful. That's good. What's good about it? Is because God will connect that which you have an awareness, that which you are thinking, to your action. And it'll be enough of a love of God that will bring you to do the mitzvah, study Torah, give charity, whatever the mitzvah is. It will be sufficient. And that is the type of love that we need today. A love that brings us to do for God, to do what He needs from us. That is the form of love that is necessary. Delighting in God, well, that we'll get also, but not right now. But not right now. So this quality of the mind, that it has an inherent nature to master the left ventricle of the heart where the animal soul resides, where in the heart we have desires, lusts, addictions that are not of a healthy or godly quality, we are able to master that. But says the Alter Rebbe in conclusion to this chapter, that's as long as we're not really wicked. As the sages have said in the Talmud, that the wicked are under control of their heart. But they don't control their heart at all. In others, they're unable to master their desires of their heart. So in that sense, the mind doesn't have active control over their deeds. So we need to think about that for ourselves, right? That sometimes when we do good, maybe we're just doing good on autopilot rather than we're a master of our goodness. We've chosen this through our awareness. Says the Alter Rebbe that someone who is wicked, and wicked here doesn't mean you're doing bad. Wicked means that you are out of control of the godly soul controlling your animal soul. Now, your animal soul could be doing even good stuff. Right? Animal soul doesn't mean you have to be a Tiladahan. Wicked doesn't mean that you are doing horrific things. What it means is that our minds, our godly soul that are in the brain, is not controlling the animal soul that's in the heart. And the Alter Rebbe says that this is its own punishment, relinquishing control. As I've said many times, one of the things I do is I run an addiction center, people dealing with their addiction. And the biggest um, punishment for the act is the loss of self-control, that they're ruled by their passion, by the passion of their animal soul, not the passion of their godly soul. And the Torah does not speak of the dead, that they, as the wicked, are considered dead, because death means out of control. Death doesn't mean, just like a dead person doesn't have, no longer has any control. So you could be the walking dead, meaning the wicked are just in control of their heart's desire. That's it. That's all. Now, that heart's desire can maybe sometimes wish to do good, but that's not the point. Even when they do the good, it's not coming from a godly place. It's coming from a self-serving place. Right? Now, until that person changes their ways, right? As a Rasha, in other words, your love is so strong for yourself that you cannot have a love of God that will bring you to do good. It's impossible to serve God then. You might still do the mitzvah and be charitable. You might still learn Torah. You might put on your tefillin and pray to God. But that's the wicked doing it, not the Beinoni that's doing it. Right? What needs to be done first is to shatter the brokenness of the individual in order that they come to serve God. In other words, we need to do tshuva. We have to shatter the klipa that's creating an iron wall that interposes between us and God our Father. How do you shatter the klipa? Is by a contrite heart. Being bitter at ourself, as our own lack, at our own sins. As it says, the sacrifices to the Almighty is a broken spirit. Think about it. What could you give God that has everything? Nothing. Except something He doesn't have. He doesn't have our brokenness. He doesn't have our darkness. He doesn't have our self-centeredness. That's a true gift that we can give. How? By shattering that nature that we have in the animal soul and not letting it control me. That's called tshuva. That's tashuv hay, returning the hay in God's name, returning to God, and not allowing the forces of evil within me. And forces of evil, again, evil does not mean here that you go around hitting people, hurting people, saying bad things to people. Here it means simply that you're just motivated by your animal soul that is self-directed, pleasure-seeking, self-fulfillment seeking for your own benefit. That's called love of self. When we love ourselves in such a manner, we're not able to love God. So before we can love God, we need to do tshuva. We have to break that natural tendency that we all have. We all have it. Right? So when we return the hay in God's name, which is tshuva, tashuv hay, don't have it here, sorry that, which is the idea that the Jewish people were exiled into Edom. The Shekhinah went into exile. In other words, the divine spark of God went into exile, and what are we here to do is return that spark. Whether it's in the material world or whether it's in me. And how do I do that? Once I do tshuva, now I can allow my mind to regain its superiority over the heart and allow it to, through my meditation, through my contemplation about Hashem, about God. Allow me to have minimally an understanding heart or an intellectual love. Right? Now, before I can do that, I have to shatter the negativity in order that I can have the positivity. Or as we say, you have to get out of that bad place, but now you need to go into good space. So the bad place is the fact that the animal soul is in control of us. Our self-love is so strong that all we can seek is self-pleasure, self-help about, what benefits me. That notion needs to be destroyed in me. And I will allow to emerge a love of God that will come from meditation, thinking about, contemplating about Hashem, greatness of Hashem, our relationship with Him, that won't produce a real strong emotion, but will be an intellectual love, an understanding heart, but will lead us to do the mitzvah, to bond with God through the mitzvah. So we conclude chapter 17 in section chapters 9 through 17. And speaking about a long route. What's the long route? Knowing God. Knowing God. And by knowing God, and knowing our relationship with God, knowing God's relationship in creation and beyond creation, we have an awareness of Him that brings us to a love and that we want to bond with Him. It brings us to a sense that we don't want to be separated from Him. And that gives us the capability, with that knowing heart, to connect.